Hi, I'm Andrew, and welcome back to my command line productivity series for developers. In my previous video, we began our journey with a deep dive into customizing your command prompt for PowerShell and Bash using Oh My Posh. Then I unveiled my most used shortcuts for command line prompt and Windows Terminal. Today, I will show you how to turn your command line from a simple tool into a personal productivity assistant by customizing the Oh My Posh theme. By the end of this video, you will have an incredibly productive, visually pleasing and highly functional command line. If you enjoy this content and you want to see more, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. So, buckle up and let's dive right in. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to open a folder where all Oh My Posh themes are stored in VS Code. To do that, I go to my terminal, here it is. Oh My Posh store this folder within the environment variable named Posh Themes Path. So if I, for example, print it on the screen, then I will be able to see the exact location where all the themes are stored. If I copy this path and I do cd and I go to this folder, then I do ls, then I will see all the themes that Oh My Posh coming with. To open this folder in VS Code, I just type code with dot. It will open the Visual Studio Code with this particular folder inside. So I see all the files over here. And as I previously told you in my previous videos, I really like how Agnoster theme is looking. If you want to see how different themes are looking, you can go to the Oh My Posh website. So I switch to my browser and I go to Oh My Posh, where I can see, when I can go to docs, and then if I go to themes, I will be able to see all the themes, how they look like. And as I said, I like Agnoster, how it looks like by default. So I'm going to customize it to increase my productivity. So I'm switching back to the Visual Studio Code. I just copy this file, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, just to have a copy of it, to be able to return back if it's needed. First, let's start with modifying how the path is displayed. The idea here is to collapse the path and show the last two folders only. I also going to use a predefined icon for a commonly used location. These changes will leave more space for command line input, but at the same time, it will be easy to identify which directory I am in. So first, let's see how the command line path is looking now. If I switch back to my terminal, as you can see, yeah, so it's showing me the home icon, yeah, if I'm inside the C users, and then it shows folder icon as much as I have folders in my path, and then it just prints out the last folder in the path. And to be honest, for me, I don't really see the benefits to see how many folders I have in my path. I prefer to save space and collapse those all icons into a one icon. As you can see, there is a house, yeah, which indicates that I'm inside C users and my user. For example, if I type pwd, you see it says that for C users I in mal, so actually for my user, yeah, it will just display a house. And then it goes to update, it's the first folder, local second folder, programs the third folder, Oh My Posh the fourth folder, and themes is the last one, and it prints out. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to collapse all these folder icons, as well as I also want to define a special character for the directory that I'm working most with. And this is directory where I keep all of my applications as a developer. Yeah, I keep all the application inside one folder, which is located on drive D named apps. So if I do cd D and I do ls, so you see there is an apps folder. So and if I go to that folder, cd apps, so I don't want to see this D apps, and I want to replace it with just one simple icon that will allow me to understand that I'm inside the apps folder, like here with a house. Yeah, so I understand that I'm inside the user's einmal. So with just another icon, I will understand that I'm inside the apps folder, and again, it will also save space inside the command line. So to do that, I'm switching back to the Visual Studio Code, and we are going to work with the path. And here it is. This is the path segment within the theme. And the thing that I'm going to add the mapped location. So inside the properties, I just write map locations, and then I say that I want to map the D drive and apps folder into one character. To find a character that I want to have, I can use Nerd Font website. So if I go again to my browser and I go to nerdfonts.com, I will be able to see the icons. If I click on icons here, I can search for icons. And for example, I want to search for apps. And I like this icon. Yeah, so and as you can see, when you hover it, you have three options. You can copy icon, you can copy class, or you can copy UTF. This is exactly what I need. I need UTF. I click on UTF, and now I'm going back to my Visual Studio Code, and I place this icon over here. So it's just a special character code to have this icon. I wanted to also to do the same for my Ubuntu. If I go to D drive apps inside Ubuntu, then I also wanted to see the same icon. So I just copied this line, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, and then I change it because in Linux the drive D mapped inside the mnt folder. So it's mnt/d, small d, and then apps with a capital A. And then again, I map it to the same character. So right now, my Windows folder D apps will be mapped to this character, and the mnt D apps folder in Ubuntu will be mapped to the same character. This is the first thing. The second thing, to make my path more collapsible, yeah, so to collapse all these folders that I have, I wanted to use another style for my path segment. And the style is agnoster. As you can see, it uses agnoster by default, but if I specify the agnoster short, then it will collapse all the folders within just one folder. And I also wanted to specify the max depth. By default, it's 1, and the max depth just show you how many folders at the end of the path you want to see. And in my case, I want to see 2 folders. I save the file. And the last thing that I want to do, because it will collapse all the folders, and I will be confused just to see, for example, if I return to the command line, I will confuse just to see the folder icon. Yeah, so I prefer to see another icon, like maybe 3 dots or something, just will remind me that these folders are collapsed. Yeah, so and I see only 2 last folders. And to do that, I actually need to change the folder icon. And again, I return back to my browser, and I will search for an icon, dots maybe. Yeah, so 3 dots. And here it is. I also copied the UTF character, and then I go back to VS Code and replace the folder icon with the copied value. So my path segment is complete, and now the only thing that I need to save the file, I press Ctrl+S on my keyboard, and now I go to my terminal to test it. I press on my keyboard Ctrl+L to clear the screen, and as you can see, immediately the icon appears that indicates that I'm inside pwd, that I'm inside the D apps folder. Yeah, so right now, if I go, for example, cd temp cd minimal 6, whatever, yeah. So as you can see, it shows me that I'm in apps folder, and then it shows me the last 2 folders. Why last 2? Because I find out for myself that 1 is not enough to understand where am I, and just to prevent to type pwd always to see where am I. So, but 2 folders are completely show me where am I, yeah? So not completely, but still I can recognize where am I. If I go, for example, cd bin, yeah, or cd debug, cd net6. So as you can see, I always see the 2 last folders, and all the rest folders between my apps folder and all the rest collapsed into 3 dots. This will allow me to save space, but at the same time to see where am I. The only last thing that I need to check is if I go to my Ubuntu, and if I go to cd mnt/d/apps, then you see the folder is also changed to the app folder. Great. And if I do the same things like cd temp, then minimal 6, for example, cd bin, cd debug. So as you can see, the same thing, yeah. So I have my folder, my apps icon, and then all the folders collapsed, and I only see the 2 last folders. So the pass segment for me is finished. The next thing that I'm going to add to my pass is a .NET icon as an indicator for .NET files. This is a simple but powerful tweak that lets you understand instantly that you are in a directory containing .NET files. Because I mostly work with the .NET, it will allow me to understand immediately, am I in the folder that contains the .NET files or not. To do that, I'm going to go back to my browser, and I'm going to go to Oh My Posh, and as you can see, there are segments over there. So I open it and I look it for the .NET. And here it is. I just need to copy it, and I return back to my VS Code and place this segment after the pass. So here it is. This is the .NET segment, but I just want to a little bit tweak it. So the first thing that I need to do is to change the power line symbol. Yeah, so I just copy it from the pass segment. This is the first thing. The second thing that I want to modify the template, because by default the template is showing the full version of the .NET. I found it not very useful, yeah, because I always know and aware what .NET version I have. I delete it. I just want to show one symbol that will identify that I'm in the .NET folder. And to do that, I'm returning back to my browser, and I'm going to search for Visual Studio. And I do like this symbol, so I copy the UTF character, and then I return back to my VS Code, and I just place this character. So that's mainly it. I left one space before and after this character, just to have a space to let this icon looks better. So the last thing that I want to do for this particular segment is to change the background, because if I return back, so I save the file, Ctrl S, and if I return back here and I press Ctrl L, and then I will return back to my folder, well, my files, you see it immediately show me that I'm inside the folder which contains the .NET. It's for sure, yeah, so I have the CS file, CSproj file, so it's definitely .NET. So, and I don't like the coloring, so I want to change the colors. And I go back to my Visual Studio, and for the foreground, I will use some dark color, and for the background, I will use also a little bit darker background. I return in back to my command line, I save the file, and now if I press Ctrl L, you see it's kind of looking nice with, so it has the same color as my theme, but it also separated from the path, so I can identify it immediately. And again, if I go back, for example, one folder down, you see there is a .NET folder disappears. if I do again cd minimal, I don't know, 6, yeah, then immediately the icon appears indicating that I'm inside the .NET folder. And finally, let's change the Git segment to show the current Git branch and the number of changes, and change its background color based on the current Git status. This can be a real game changer when working with Git repositories, saving you time by eliminating the need to repeatedly type the Git status command and enhancing your focus on the current Git status instead. So I'm returning back to VS Code. I already have the Git segment, yeah, but the Git segment will show me just the branch. Where am I? I also wanted to extend it just to show the current changes and also to change the color of this particular segment based on the current Git status. Of course, we can go to the browser and we can go to Git segment within the documentation. Yeah, you see, it's a really huge thing that you can do. But the easiest part, I can go to VS Code and I'm going to yarn the double layer theme. And I'm going to select properties, Ctrl C, and then I go to my Agnoster theme and I'm going to paste it within my Git block, somewhere here. So first of all, I want to remove branch max length. Yeah, so I don't want to be limited. If the branch is big, I want to see it. And again, I'm returning back to Jan Doppler theme and copy the template. Select everything and copy. And again, go back to my Agnoster theme and I replace the template. And now I'm returning back to the command line just to show you how it works. I went to the folder with the Git repo. And as you can see, it shows me the icon, first of all, what repo it is, which I really like. So it's a GitHub or Azure DevOps. Then it shows me the branch, which is the main. And then it shows me the icon. I really don't like this icon. For me, it just grabs the space without showing me a lot of information. So I'm going to Visual Studio Code. And I'm going to replace it. Inside the template, it shows the branch status, and the branch status is actually all the indication about how many changes we have to push to the remote, how many changes we have to pull from the remote, and etc. And it also contains this icon. I want to modify it a little bit, and not to type it manually, I can go to Agnoster minimal, and I'm copy it from here, starting from if greater than ahead 0 and if greater behind 0. So I copy this part only with ahead and behind and. Ctrl C, and then return back to my Agnoster theme, and I just replace this branch status with copied text. So I save it, and again if I go back and I do Ctrl L, you see this icon, which I don't really like, disappear, and I have more space for my command line. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going again to the Jan Doppler theme, and I'm also copied the background template. So I'm returning back to my Agnoster theme, and I'm place this after the background. So to simplify a little bit, yeah, I can combine those two blocks, because if it's ahead or behind, I want to use the same color. Yeah, so I want to simplify the last two blocks and merge it into one. So I can say, for example, or, if or, and then greater ahead 0 and greater than behind 0. And I replace the color to something that I really want to have. So these three lines, yeah, actually changing the background color depends on, for example, if I have the working changes or staging changes, then I will use one color. If changes that I want to push and that they need to pull are both more than 0, so it means that I need to push something at the same to pull something, then I want to have some kind of more reddish background. And the last one, if I had some changes that I need to push or pull, then I want to have this particular color. And now I save it. And if I go to terminal, so let's see the Git segment in action. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to demo folder, and here I'm going to create GitHub repo create, and I call it, for example, I want to create the private repository, and I call it test. And the GitHub repository is created. I want to clone it, and it's done. So right now I will be able to see the test folder over here. So if I do cd test, then I'm inside my GitHub repository, and I'm on the branch main. So I open the Visual Studio Code, and as you can see, there is no files over there. So I want to create 2 files, add some content, save all. So now I'm coming back to my terminal, and the green color just show me that I have 0 changes. So right now, if I do ls, I see that I have, first of all, I have the color is changed, yeah, to the kind of orangish, yeah. So and I have 2 changes. So let's check that. And if I type git status, I will be able to see that indeed the 2 changes are not staged, untracked files. If I just do git add, so now we see that they are staged. Let's see the git status just to be sure. Yes, indeed. So they are green. So it means that they are staged and they are ready to be committed. So if I just do git commit, so now I have some changes, but the git segment doesn't show it because our remote repository is not initialized yet. So if I do the git push, now I initialize my repo, and now if I return back and create, for example, a new file, say test3.md, and I add some content into it, and I change some content from the old file. Yeah, so I save all the files, and right now, if I look at what I have 1 untracked file and 1 modified file. Yeah, so and again the color is changed to the orange. If I do git add now, then you see 1 file is modified, 1 file is new, and it's indicated over here with this icon plus that I have a new file and 1 file is modified. And this icon actually show us that we work with the stage, and this one that we work with the working directory. So if I do git commit, so right now you see, because our repository is initialized, we have 1 change that we need to push. So let's go back to the browser, or just type GitHub browse. And here I'm going to change the testmd file. So if I go there, and if I change this file to something like test1, and I do commit changes, and I do commit. And right now I go back to my terminal, and I execute the git fetch command. So now, as you can see, my color will be a little bit reddish, yeah, just to identify that I have 1 change to push and 1 change to merge. And of course, I will do git merge and git push. At the end, I have the green light that show me that I don't have any changes. And the last thing that I'm going to do, because I almost never use Python, I remove a Python segment completely from my theme, so it won't affect my command prompt performance. To do that, I'm going to VS Code, and there you see the next segment, the Python that I don't really use. I just remove it. And I really suggest you to remove all the segments that you don't use, because all segments that you include inside the theme will affect performance. I save the file, and now my theme is ready. And that wraps up our deep dive into command line productivity. Remember, tailoring your Oh My Posh theme can truly streamline your workflow and take your efficiency to the next level. So give it a try and see the difference for yourself. Now, I want to know from you, have you made any customization to your Oh My Posh theme that improved your productivity? Leave a comment down below and let me know. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. See you next time, and as always, be curious, learn from bugs, and keep coding.